Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Terrence here with fishnetproductions.com. Hope you guys are having a good day. Today I have another video for you. I'm going to be talking about stock plugins versus third-party plugins. Now, there's sort of an ongoing debate about third-party plugins versus stock plugins. Stock plugins meaning the plugins that come standard in your DAW. So if you have Cubase, Pro Tools, Logic, Studio One, those things like that, they come with their own set of plugins that are native to that DAW. So those type of plugins versus the third-party plugins that you buy from companies like Waves, Slate Digital, UAD, companies like that. So again, there's this big ongoing debate happening that compares these two types of plugins to each other, and the ultimate question is one inferior to the other? So a lot of people think that the DAW plugins are inferior to third-party plugins. So in this video, I want to do a fair comparison of the two. So I have the SSL compressor here, which is a third-party plugin from Waves, and I also have the compressor that's native in Cubase here on the vocal track. So what we're going to do is listen to this vocal track and then apply these two compressors between the two and see which one is giving us what kind of results, and see if those results are inferior or superior in any way to the other plugin. So let's have a listen to the vocal track. I'll solo this vocal track and I'll have it on loop here, so it'll just play back and forth. So have a listen to this vocal track, just dry.
You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it, but I'll be gone before you know it.
Okay, now I have these two plugins set pretty much exactly the same to where they're going to give me about 8 dB of compression on this vocal. So here you can see the ratio on the Cubase compressor is 4:1. Same here on the SSL is 4:1. On the attack, I have it at 3 milliseconds. Same thing here on the SSL compressor. On the release time on the Cubase compressor, it's at 600. Same thing, it's equal to 6 here on the SSL compressor. I have the analog switch turned off so you don't get any coloration of the sound from this compressor, so you have a fair comparison between the two. Now again, I have them both set up to where they're giving me about 8 dB of compression. So I'll play them both here and you can just kind of see. So I'll let you see that, and then I'm going to move them off the screen so you can do the comparison. So I'll engage the SSL and you'll see that jump to about 8 dB.
You thought you had.
All right, same thing with the Cubase compressor here. You'll see this number here jump up to about 8 dB of compression. Watch.
You thought you had me.
All right, so both of these compressors are set virtually the same. They're giving me the exact same amount of compression. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move both of these compressors off the screen, and I'm going to loop this vocal, and I'm going to engage one or the other every other time. And I want you to be able to tell me if you notice a difference between the two compressors, and if you do notice a difference, which one is better. And I'm going to do this as a blind test. That's why I'm moving this off the screen, so you have no bias to say that you like one of these compressors over the other. All right, so let me move these off now. All right, I'm going to start the track with the first compressor engaged, and you can tell me which one is which. So I'll loop this track and I'll just keep starting it as we go. Let me drag this a little bit so I'll have time to engage that compressor here. All right, so here's the vocal soloed, and now I'm going to engage the first compressor. Here we go.
You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it, but I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it, but I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it, but I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it, but I'll be gone before you know it.
All right, now let's do the compressor comparison with the entire track playing, which is really where it matters the most. So I'll unsolo the vocal here and I'll play the entire track, and I'll engage the first compressor and we'll go from there. All right, here we go.
You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it, but I'll be gone before you know it.
All right, very fair comparison between the two compressors on this vocal. Now I'm going to do the same sort of comparison with an EQ. All right, so next up, the EQ comparison. Here I have the HEQ, which is a third-party Waves plugin engaged, and I also have the EQ from the channel strip of Cubase's mix console engaged here. And here you'll see I have the settings virtually the same. I have a 5 dB shelf boost here at 8,000. Same thing here. I have a 5 dB boost at 8,000 on this one. On the second band, I have a 5 dB boost at 4,000, which same here, 5 dB at 4,000. Nothing on the third one, and on the fourth one here, I have the high pass filter engaged at 120 Hertz. Same thing here, high pass filter engaged at 120 Hertz. So we're going to listen to this. Now the curves on this EQ are slightly different, so you may hear some subtle differences in the sound here. You can even tell, especially from this curve here, it's a little bit different looking than this curve here on this one, but for the most part they're the same, so you should have a pretty fair comparison between the two. Now, just the same as I did with the compressor comparison, I'm going to move this off of the screen. I'm going to move this mix console off the screen, and I'm going to do a blind comparison, and I want you to be able to tell me which one is which. Okay, so let me move these off now. All right, so I'll start with the first EQ engaged on the same vocal, and then as the track loops, I'll engage the second one, and I want you to be able to tell me if you can tell the difference. Okay, here we go with the first one.
You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. But I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. But I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. But I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. But I'll be gone before you know it.
Now the EQ comparison with the entire track playing. I'll start with the first EQ engaged, and then I'll engage the second one. All right, here we go.
You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. But I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. But I'll be gone before you know it. You thought you had me wrapped up like a gift in a box to collect whenever you wanted it. But I'll be gone before you know it.
All right, guys, so the truth about third-party plugins versus stock plugins is that there are very, very minor differences between the two. And those differences could even be chalked up to the differences between the curves, say in the EQ. So the curves in the HEQ from Waves was not able to be set exactly the same as the curves in the Cubase EQ. However, this just has to do with the way that the particular EQs were built. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other one or one is inferior to the other one. It just means that they're different. And for the most part, they can be set the same way, and you get pretty much, I would say, 90 to 95% of the exact same results from each. Same thing with the compressors. Now, a lot of compressors work differently than others, but at the end of the day, they all do the same thing. Compressors are a tool that controls dynamics, and we got the result of the dynamic control from both the Cubase compressor and the SSL compressor from Waves. So there are very, very null differences between the two. So again, guys, the truth is that if you cannot get a good mix with your stock plugins, third-party plugins will not help you. I will say that again. If you cannot learn to get a good mix with your stock plugins, third-party plugins are not going to help you because they are virtually the same. Pretty much an EQ is an EQ is an EQ, with the exception of the subtle differences between curves, analog modeling, and things like that that will, you know, contribute to the sound of the EQ. But again, that does not make you an EQ specialist. It does not make you know how to use EQ any better. It does not give your mix any better results to use these different types of tools. They're just different types of tools, and they all do the same thing. Same thing with a compressor. A compressor is a compressor is a compressor, period. They all, at the end of the day, at the bottom line, the least common denominator of all compressors is that they control dynamics. And if you do not know how to control dynamics with a compressor, it does not matter which one you have. If you don't know how to use the buttons, if you don't know the attack and release time and things like this of the compressor and what they do to contribute to controlling dynamics, picking one over the other one is not going to make you a better mixer, period. So with that said, guys, my advice is learn your tools. If you do not have third-party plugins, you have absolutely no reason to grieve, to be upset, or to, you know, feel inferior to anybody else that has third-party plugins, because the plugins that come standard in your DAW nowadays are just as good and sometimes better than third-party plugins. There are even quite a few free plugins that work really great. So if you don't have the latest bundles and the, you know, the latest compressors and all of the analog modeling and all of this kind of stuff, do not sweat, do not grieve. Simply learn your tools in your DAW plugin, and that will make you a better mixer. Learn the EQs, learn the compressors, learn the reverbs, learn how they contribute to your mix. And one thing that I always say, and that you'll always hear me preach, is that you should always have a reason to apply any tool to any type of track or mix or anything that you're doing. So simply just putting a tool on a track, simply putting an EQ on a track does not make it any better. Simply putting a compressor on a track does not make it any better. You have to have a reason to put it on there. And usually that reason with compressors deals with to control dynamics in a certain way or to create some type of an effect. Same thing with an EQ. What you're trying to do is alter the sound in some type of way. And if you do not know how to alter that sound using an EQ, if you do not know how to control dynamics using a compressor, it does not matter which compressor or EQ you use, period. All right, guys, so with that being said, I'll end the video here. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you finally understand the differences between the third party and the stock plugins, and that the subtle differences between the two do not make, break, or define a mix, and that you can use your stock plugins in your DAW to get just as good of results as you can with third-party plugins. So again, I hope you guys got something out of that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not done that already. I always put up quite a few videos with mixing strategies and things of that nature, and you don't want to miss those kind of things. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get those notifications when those come out. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.